in this scene, you see what I saw in John Cena way back in Suicide Squad that made me want to make this show.
Is it Earth X or Earth 10? I'm going to assume Earth X.
It's Earth X. It is such a huge surprise where Weasel came from, I can't tell you. And I don't know if I'll ever be able to have time to tell the story. Him being the Prime Eagle is important, by the way. Some people think that's just like some jokey thing. No. In that moment where she goes, "Are you coming or not?" Like, she doesn't want to have to answer him. David was so jealous.
So obviously we'll see Lex again in Peacemaker.
No, I didn't say that. Recording?
Sean was 1.
Sean, that's right.
2 was Sol. 3 was Robert. 4 was Frank. 5 was Jen.
Yeah.
And this is 6. Next week's David. And then we haven't figured out 8 yet because it's during New York Comic Con. So I'm thinking if we can get somebody to come up. Like, there's a theater that said they would like let us use the theater.
Wait, who's next week?
David Denman.
Of course.
Yeah, his team was like.
When I think of David, I think of Corn Sweat, and I'm like,
oh no.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, David Denman. Yeah, his team was just like 7 would be probably the most sensible for him. And I'm like, then let's do 7.
It makes sense. Yeah.
So we're gonna have him 7 and then figure out 8.
I like all that part. We should do it. It seems real.
All right.
The pre-chatter.
Yeah, I always think that those parts make for a good. Just sitting down and saying hello is a good way to start a podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I won't let you look me in the eye when we're off camera.
I mean, it is
That's the first thing that we tell
habit that I have to like overcome because you see me go like this and I'm like, oh, I can look at him more. Yeah. He's friendly. We're on camera.
Like Madonna.
You take the horns and the teeth out too, and the camera starts rolling too. Dude, I just watched episode 6.
Yeah. What do you think?
I mean, it's the hype is real, dude. Those last like 10 minutes, especially when everything starts unraveling.
Yeah. By
the way, everybody who's listening, this is full spoilers.
Yeah, full spoilers.
The morning after pod. Phase Heroes Peacemaker podcast, episode 6 with James Gunn.
Hey, I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to finally talk about this episode, which you're the first person I've been able to talk about it with. So that's pretty cool. I mean, listen, I like the ending a lot, but my favorite thing in the episode is actually the scene with John and Jen.
That's the best part of the episode.
That is like, it's so touching to me. And they're both the best they've ever been. And I think you get their relationship really, truly for the first time and see the depth of his feelings for her is so touching to me. Every time when he says, she's like, "I'm a nightmare." And he says, "I don't care." Like his love for her is really pure. And we also can see that obviously she's fighting a lot of the feelings that she has for him as well.
Yeah. Yeah. That, I don't know. Maybe I'm ahead of myself. I'm not like a big awards person, but I was like, this could be an Emmy scene. Like I was watching that, like they're killing it. This could be the Emmy scene for Peacemaker with their performance. But okay, so we'll get to that. We'll try to go through the episode in a little bit of order.
We'll go in order. Right?
But how are you feeling now that the world is like, this is the episode you described this as like 6 and 8 are your favorite.
6 and 8 are my favorite.
Is this like Christmas morning for you?
Well, I mean, it is, but it's always a little nerve-wracking because there's some pretty intense stuff in it. It's not your usual Peacemaker episode because there actually isn't as much action in it as most other episodes. Get plenty of that in the next couple of episodes. But it's really about the characters, and we get to see the characters together. I mean, there's just so many things I like in this episode because starting with Vigilante's mom.
Well, last week you had him crying.
Yeah, we had him crying. That was pretty intense. And now
he
is such a dick to his mom. And that woman is so funny to me. Taylor St. Clair is the actress's name, and she's so good that I'm excited that people get to see that dynamic. He's like the worst 12-year-old child in the world. And I love, the fact that people get to see Lex. I'm excited about.
So. Oh, dude, when he walked by and the music played, I was like, is it happening? Is it happening? It's happening.
Yeah.
I think some of us have had a feeling that because you wrote this at the same time as Superman and shot it, I think, similarly in time with Superman, that maybe some people would show up. But then, like, even when you have, like, you're willing to bet on it, when you actually see it happen, it's like, oh, he did. Yeah. They did it. They did it for real.
Yeah, David was so jealous. He was like, what? Why am I not in Peacemaker? Why? He's like, why? Why does Nick get to do everything? I'm like, I like Nick better.
Oh, come on. That was, when he walked in, I was like, this is great. But I mean, speaking of connectivity, you have known about Rick Flag Jr. and Emilia for years now.
Yep.
You like knew Weasel's backstory for years, and that's what Sean told me earlier on an earlier episode of this podcast.
Did he tell
He
you that?
explained the whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I finally told him. He's
Yeah.
like, I think he was like, hey, do you have ideas about where Weasel came from? And I'm like, yeah, I know exactly where Weasel came from.
That's what he said.
Yeah.
And then you broke our hearts in Creature Commandos with that.
Yeah.
One of the best stories, though.
Oh, but there's more to Weasel's story. I know where Weasel actually came from. I don't know just that. I know where he started.
When are we going to find out? When are you going to
Maybe never.
Come
Like,
on, what do you mean?
It is such a huge surprise where Weasel came from. I can't tell you. It's like one of my, and I don't know if I'll ever be able to have time to tell the story. Yeah, no, and we know, and I knew where I knew where 8 was going, from the time that we first kind of came up with the outline of the general story of the DCU with the group of writers in the writer room. So that's always been there. That was there before that, because when I actually pitched the idea of the DCU to David Zaslav and what some of the stories would be, I pitched the end of episode 8 to Zaslav. So that's been like, yeah.
So Peacemaker season 2 was
Yeah.
like part of what convinced Zaslav to do the DC universe with like this way.
Yeah, I mean, that was, well, listen, he was pretty on board from the beginning, and I could have been telling him probably anything at that point.
Sure.
But like he was really into, he was into the idea of the connected universe and what the overall story was. Obviously you see in some ways how this is going to have big ramifications this episode on Man of Tomorrow. I mean, we're seeing a partnership begin between an unlikely pairing of people, and this is not the end of that.
Yeah, Frank Grillo as Flag is great, and his perspective is that his personal agenda is outweighing his professional agenda now.
Yeah, I think that's true. I think that Flag is an interesting character to me because he is not. First of all, he's morally, flexible.
Yeah, I don't take him as like an outright bad guy.
Definitely not. He's
know?
not a sadist. He's not evil. He's not bad. But he is protective, and vengeful.
Mm-hmm.
He also can be really stupid. We've seen him be stupid a number of times.
He's got Riz, bro. He can't help it.
He does have Riz.
He's pulling, bro.
Oh yeah, he does. Right, he's smart in a way too. He's manipulative. You see him manipulate, Harcourt with the whole "Call me Rick," and then in that same episode, saying it to Soul when he's, to Sasha when he is using it for a different purpose, which is to have sex with her.
Yeah.
And so he's manipulative in that respect, but also, in Creature Commandos,
The princess.
he falls for her bullshit, like so hardcore. Like we see where this guy's weakness is.
Yep.
And so he makes some pretty big mistakes. And I don't think he is as planned out in the way that like Amanda Waller was. Like he's not seeing things. He's just much more instinctive, gut guy. And some of it is he's smart. He's smart, but he makes a lot of mistakes.
Yeah, well, we were sitting together actually recording the podcast when you announced Man of Tomorrow.
I know this.
I was like, my phone is in Do Not Disturb. Jenna texted me. I was like, look at this, look at this.
Yeah.
And then he walked out. I was like, Frank, look at what James just announced.
Yeah.
He was like, oh, he said it? I was like, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's obviously, Frank talked about the next, he's doing something else with us. And obviously,
right.
I think people can start to guess what that is after seeing, this episode.
Yeah. And I kind of mentioned, Weasel, Flag Jr., those kind of storylines, clearly Flag Sr. I was going to ask you, how many of these characters do you see like long game stories already for? Besides, obviously Superman and Peacemaker and some of like the headline characters.
Yeah.
You're making these characters that support those characters and make them who they are in a way really important themselves.
Yes, totally. Yeah. And that's what I like. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I like Flag Senior, because he is a human.
Yeah.
But he's imperfect. And so he's able to travel in and out of these stories and be, and he's basically a hero in Creature Commandos, even though when you look back on it, he almost destroyed the world.
Things happen.
Yeah, but he seems like a hero.
Yeah.
And then
he means well, even for himself sometimes.
You see in Superman that he's, he means well there. You know, he's like, he's, you know, he feels bad about arresting Superman.
Right.
I think he feels bad about the whole situation. But then by the end of that Superman, you see, oh, I don't know. I think he's getting a little afraid of the power structure in this world where, you know, we have the three power structures. It's the government, the corporations, and the metahumans. And they're all sort of vying for power.
Yeah.
And at the end of Superman, you see that there's a shift, not so subtle shift, where all of a sudden the metahumans are doing something that they haven't done for 300 years, which is like, yeah, we're going to kind of do what we want.
Yeah.
Also happen to work for a corporation. So it's, you know, it's a shift that's happening, I think, in many ways in our own world, where we see the shifting importance, not of metahumans, but the shifting importance of the amount of power that corporations have in relationship to the government. I think, you know, in our parents' time, they would have never thought, oh yeah, you know, corporations will be, you know, as powerful as governments. And now that is where we're at.
I mean, I find it interesting that so many of the stories you're writing, I don't even know if this is your intention, but they are so reflective of things that are happening sometimes. And it's like, you know, you're telling these stories with these fictional characters that we look at and go, oh, wow, okay, I see myself. I see my world in that universe. I think it's cool.
Well, I think we're telling true stories about these characters and about these social situations. And so it's obvious that they're going to reflect what's in our culture. And I think the rising power of corporations in our world is something that, you know, I've thought of, and that, you know, our sort of metahumans are these ultra rich billionaires, you know, and in the DCU, that was going to be a part of the story in a way that was important, you know, whether they're, you know, malevolent like Lex Luthor, or, you know, but sort of benevolent like Maxwell Lord, you know.
Yeah, I can't really get a read on that guy. She's not quite yet.
I mean, he's like a Rick Flag Jr. character.
Yeah,
he's a balanced, real guy. You know, I mean, you know, I think I'm a pretty good person, but I don't walk around feeling like I'm a hero. And I definitely do bad things as well as good things, because I'm a full human being. And I think the Rick Flag Jr.'s and the Maxwell Lords and the Peacemakers. I mean, Peacemaker we think of him as a hero now because of, you know, he's a star of the show and so many people like him. But in a lot of ways, if you look over his actions over the past two seasons of television, is he? Is what he did with the butterflies right? It's balanced. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, he protected his friends. That was growth for him. Was it good for the world? I don't know. Maybe. You know, what's he doing this season? You know, now we've seen that he's killed the Sons of Liberty, who are they the good guys? I don't know. They're killing DMV workers. I don't know if that's good. They still are kind of terrorists, but what they're fighting for is, you know, racial equality.
Right.
That's what they want.
Yeah.
And so they want some freedoms for those people. So they're good in that respect. But
I think that's a big reason why so much of your work, I mean, with DC and with going back with Guardians and other projects you've done, I feel like I find myself so attached to your work because you write these characters in these worlds in a way like it accepts that people are actually imperfect.
Yeah.
Everybody is. Some people don't want to admit that to themselves, and some people want to demand perfection out of other people. But your characters, whether it's Star-Lord or Peacemaker, you know, or anybody in between, there's so many characters that have these flaws that I'm like, you know what? Like Lost is my favorite TV show of all time. John Locke is one of the most flawed characters ever. Like I like these flawed characters.
Yeah.
But I was on the set of the Suicide Squad the day that Peacemaker died.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And I remember seeing them be like, "There's no way that he's actually dying in this scene because they wouldn't have us here that day, right?" But John walks by just covered in blood, and I was like, "Wow!" And I'm so glad you changed your mind on Peacemaker. I've heard the whole story about that.
Yeah.
But he's one of my favorite characters in anything now.
Me too.
But also he's resulted in one of my favorite collectibles, and I think you might have seen this. But
I do. I have it.
Oh, you have it already?
Yeah, you're giving it to me?
Yeah, man, that's for you. I brought you something.
Well, listen, let me tell you, this is excellent, and I can put one in my office because I have one at home.
Oh, there we go.
And I love it because Leota actually got her own Funko, and I'm going to join Jen and appeal directly to Funko. Funko, I'm talking to you. Why is there not a Harcourt figure? Why is there not a John Economos figure?
Ooh.
These two actors have acted in our DCU as much as anyone else. They have more time logged than any other DC characters. And so they need figures like we finally got one for Adebayo, which I'm really happy about. So I'm not diminishing Funko. Funko knows I have a big Funko collection, and I'm really missing those two characters. I've actually seen designs for those characters that were really good, and I don't know why they never came out.
You get them made.
Yeah.
Usually what I do is I bring people like a custom pop of themselves, but you have a pop from New York.
I do have a real pop of myself.
I ordered one.
Yeah.
It's because I also get an autograph when we leave each interview.
Oh.
I found one on eBay, and that was for me though, because you have to have your own pop.
How much did you pay for that?
$600.
Yeah, it's expensive. Yeah.
Do you have one?
I have a box.
Oh, okay, good. Okay, well, I did get a couple of fan questions here, and here, if you just press play on that, that's our first fan question.
This is this guy.
Steve here. I have a message for my good friend James.
Oh, no, I feel
or question, actually. I've been over the past week or two seeing a lot of people online, not a lot, but enough people online saying that they think, they have theories, they think this world, this alternate dimension that we have uncovered is based on something in the comic books called Earth X. Is it Earth X or Earth 10? I'm going to assume Earth X.
It's Earth X.
I'm not comic book savvy, so I don't know if
the
that's
difference between
the thing
X
or
and
what
10
that is. But I'm wondering if that is indeed what it's based on. Hope you're well. Miss you. Bye.
Oh, now it's starting over. Yeah, that's like it's Earth 2 is Earth X. I mean, I'm calling it Earth 2 because there's two Earths. That's what I've been calling it on our podcast. But it's like, yeah, it's Earth X. Yeah.
I started seeing the theories pop up online and people noticing that, the background was very white. It was to the point that if it wasn't what you were doing,
it was
I was
so
like,
funny because I showed it to a couple friends like Molly Quinn and Alon Gale, who are two of my best friends. Yeah. We sat there, we watched the whole episode, and all 8 episodes in a row. And they had no clue it was coming, and it'll be interesting because everybody who's online already knows. Because once you point out the fact that there are no people of color in the background,
it's hard to not.
It is hard to ignore.
Yeah.
But also, some people are like Peacemaker. That's another thing I really like in the episode is when Harcourt is driving around with David Denman, with Keith, and you see her looking around, and she's there for 3 minutes, and she's immediately like, what is going on?
Yeah.
And then she notices immediately, but Peacemaker's there the whole time, just like, I don't know. There's nothing different about this place. And it's interesting how, different people don't notice it.
I mean, I'll be honest. I started looking at myself going, you didn't notice that on your first watch through on the first 5 until I talked to people who did. And I was like, oh my God, I didn't notice. Yeah. What does that say about me? Like, do I need to be more conscious of something? Like, it's I don't know. I feel like it just kind of signals like when I walk into a room, it's not something I look for, but there are a lot of people who, you'll be uncomfortable if you walk into a room and it looks like that. And understandably, because look at what this world is.
Yeah. And I think all you need to do is like, I saw somebody online posting the pictures of the people driving down the streets.
Yep.
And then the pictures of the Argus agents as they're surrounding the home, and the difference in that, we're in Atlanta, Georgia. It's not, it's not a white, all white community. It's it's very diverse community. It's one of the things I love about living in Atlanta. But it was hard. I mean, because we had to cast these extras and be like, oh yeah, we're only casting white people, which is weird, Yeah,
that's got to raise flags through production too. They're like, wait,
yeah.
Why is this happening?
Yeah, so it was a strange thing,
So now that you get to really the way you unravel that between Adrian sort of talking to Adrian, that conversation's happening. Adebayo's going outside. Chris and Harcourt are noticing it. Yeah. I thought the way you wrote and edited the sort of whole reveal of it and how it builds momentum to end episode 6 was amazing. And now I can only imagine this means that momentum in 7 and 8 are insane. Yeah.
I mean, it was, it it was also tricky. You know, I mean, I had to talk to Danielle Brooks about, you know, I mean, she was one of the first people I gave the scripts to, because I'm like, this is what we're doing. Like, is the, you know, basically, you know, it's like 28 days later with white people. And so is this something that you think is cool? You know, you got to check yourself against these things. And it's obviously a very serious topic, but also it's something that we're telling a story in a comic book universe. And so how can you do that and do that in a way that's, you know, thoughtful, I suppose.
And feel free to tell me, wait and see. But is this like, how reflective of the main DC universe is that? Like, is there like, you know, is this the Earth X where Nazis won? We have like an equivalent of like a not so great Superman over there. Is there other stuff that we might see or familiar faces and stuff in that other universe?
The answer to one of those things you asked is yes. You know.
Okay. All right.
You'll find out next episode
a
little, but just basically next episode you'll find out a little bit more about that.
Okay.
Okay. We'll find out a little bit more, but you know, in another way, the season isn't really about Earth X. It's about Peacemaker's
Chris
personal journey.
Yeah.
And it's about some other things.
Okay.
It's about where are the 11th Street kids going? What have their choices been about over the past couple of years? I'm a person who believes in goodness, and I believe in, you know, when Adebayo says to Chris, she's like, you don't belong there. You know, God put you here for a reason. I believe that, you know, and so that's not in line with everyone's beliefs, but I think that, you know, what is the purpose, whether it's a theological thing or just a belief in that, you know, things work out the way they're meant to be, which is hard to believe in this day and age with so many things going wrong, right?
Scary.
You know, but doesn't it often seem like things work out okay? And as human beings, things seem terrible, and it's always darkest before the dawn.
Yeah.
And so where is it that these characters are going? What is it that is what are they meant to do?
I think one of my favorite elements of this show is the feeling I get that this is about both learning how to love people and accept love too.
Absolutely.
In multiple characters in the show.
Absolutely. That is both Peacemaker and Harcourt's journey. Oh my God, dude, you're going to be really,
you're going to kill me, dude.
You're going to be really happy with 8. I mean, I really think that you've hit the nail on the head with that. It is so important, you know, knowing that we're loved, knowing that you're loved, knowing that I'm loved is so important to me being a good human being. You know, there are so many people that, and I was like this for years as a human being. It was very, very hard for me to accept love from other people. And so in that way, these stories of Peacemaker and Harcourt, they're very much like me. I always felt like I was good at loving other people, but I don't think you can fully love somebody unless you can accept love yourself, because you're saying that the denial of love is the right thing to do. And I think you especially see it in Harcourt, and you see it break down in this episode. You see that breaking down.
Well, let's go there then, because man, that scene with Jen and John. First of all, let's talk about John first. I think most people still probably, when they hear about John Cena, they think about John Cena the wrestler.
Yeah, and when they don't think of him as John Cena the wrestler, they think of him as, you know, Ricky Stenicki. You know, like they think of like the goofy Peacemaker stuff. You know, they think of him like talking about all the dirty shit. You know, they think about him listing off the names of celebrities that John Economos could be put in prison. And in this scene, you see what I saw in John Cena way back in Suicide Squad that made me want to make this show. You see this rawness, and he's so good. And how vulnerable is he with Harcourt in those moments where he tells her he loves her? You know, he's figured out that something happened with Rick Flag Jr. He figures out, you know, all of that. And that moment where he says to her, you know, she says, I'm a nightmare. And he says, I don't care. I still love you.
That's what got me. And you said before this episode there was one scene that you cry every time you watch it. I was guessing that was the moment that gets you every time.
It is that whole little bit around there with John and Jen both. It's that moment where he says, "I still love you." It gets me now when I think about it.
Yeah.
It's Jen in that moment where she goes, "Are you coming or not?" Like, she doesn't want to have to answer him. She doesn't want to have to say, I mean, I don't want to say, we're going to see more episodes.
Yeah.
But she doesn't want to say anything about her own feelings, but she wants him to come home
I feel like
so badly. Whether or not she loves him romantically, she loves him so much. And you see that with the two of them together. And I can't tell you the pride I felt after that day of shooting that, and it's such a fun scene. And, I did a scene I really like in Superman with the interview scene in which, there's similarities because it's this long scene in which the camera's moving around and they're moving around a lot. And that's what I love to stage. I talk about sometimes with directors today, they don't stage. If I let another director direct that scene, there's a good chance they would have sat at that table and had that whole conversation.
Yeah.
Got up one time and, and it gets on my nerves. But it's like, to be able to have all the movement and the dynamics that we did with Sam McCurdy, our DP, and so to be able to put all of that together in a way where they just kept building that scene and both came in so prepared, knew their dialogue backwards and forwards, and yet we're also able to make adjustments as I went, and just seeing how much they've both grown as actors. I think in some ways it's how much John has grown, and then how much Jen was actually able to apply herself in that way she wasn't able to in last season.
She's exceptional in that scene.
It's amazing.
I mean, just hearing you talk about it though, it feels like that from the writing to watching people you love deliver it just seems like that really meant a lot to you.
Yeah, and what's different about it than the Superman Lois scene is that they're both these long scenes where they're moving and talking, but there's a rawness to this scene.
Yeah,
for both of them, a vulnerability that he has, and a different kind of vulnerability that she has, and how good she is at fighting her feelings on screen. Like, that is a hard thing, a challenging thing to do as an actor, is to, you're not showing your feelings. You're fighting, showing your feelings.
Stuff them back
You're
down.
pushing it down, and that just that whole all that stuff, And yeah, I mean, I get the fact that she says I'm a nightmare. The fact that she doesn't. That part of what she's doing is that she thinks she's so worthless that she thinks she's sparing John her. Sparing Peacemaker her in a way that is so different than, we think it's all about Rick Flag. And that's definitely a part of it that made it very difficult for her. But at the same time, part of it is that she doesn't think she's worthwhile. Like, we look back at her relationship with Rick Flag, like, was Rick Flag in love with Emilia Harcourt? I think so. Was Emilia Harcourt in love with Rick Flag? I don't think so. I don't think that's what that relationship was. I think she loved him,
I think that because she knew he had a girlfriend, it was an easy way to not get involved.
It was
for
a
her.
way to not get involved. She was involving herself with a friend who she felt safe with, which I think is important for her. When she's not the person that goes to bars and picks up random guys. That puts her out. She fights them. She's the guy that goes to bars and picks fights.
Yeah.
So, but she has, sexual needs and needs like we all have. And that she had felt safe with Rick. And also, I think she's protected not only by the fact that he had a girlfriend, but by the fact that Rick Flag Jr., and this is something that Joel and I talked about during the Suicide Squad. If you go back and you watch the Suicide Squad, there's only two guys who are probably going to sleep with the women in the brothel.
Oh yeah.
And if you look at the difference between Bloodsport's behavior and Rick Flag and Peacemaker's behavior, it has been a while since I've watched the movie, but when we were doing that scene, Joel and I were like, yeah, Rick Flag's going to sleep with one of these women before the guys show up,
Yeah.
and so was Peacemaker. Like they were flirting the whole time.
Mhm.
And to me, that Rick Flag Jr. and Rick Flag Sr. have that same, if you call it an affliction, of being womanizers. And that is, it's a family trait that's passed down, and that's part of who they are.
Well, it has cost Junior. It's cost both of them, but it cost Junior in the end. I mean, if you go back to, because, well, I don't know, the fact that he was dating the craziest powerful character in that first Suicide Squad movie is pretty. I was surprised to see that you referenced events of the first Suicide Squad movie.
Sometimes I regret it, because it was like, obviously Arjun Moon's still has sorceress powers. Arjun Moon is, he's cheating on her. So it's not the great love story it was presented as
I was like, wait,
in
how?
David's movie. So it's like, there's some differences there, but I don't know. I like, we live in this world of metahumans. He's this, good looking guy who's, a soldier, and it seems like he would be attracted to a metahuman girl.
Yeah.
And so that's who he's shacked up with.
It does force me. I'd be a fraud to my audience if I didn't ask. Is there other parts of the first Suicide Squad that you consider any part like loosely canon, or is that sort of like the further we go back, the blurrier it gets with the canon?
I mean, the further I don't see. Yeah. I mean, I go back and forth on. We had a conversation today about in the Suicide Squad. What do we consider canon or not?
Yeah, is Polka Dot Man maybe still alive? Did you unbreak our hearts? Bring back David.
I mean, frankly, I don't think I would have somebody alive that I killed, because that becomes too confused. I mean,
that's true. Yeah.
But do we bring in other characters? Are we bringing a headache upon ourselves? Is it okay that I mean, obviously, I've already said it was okay, because Nathan Fillion played the detachable kid, and he plays Guy Gardner. Nathan Rooker played Savant.
Yeah.
And I promised him he could play somebody else too, because he did me a favor by doing this guy. So
well, all right, but back to six.
I
felt like the two character this episode to me is a Harcourt episode and a Vigilante episode, an Adrian Chase episode.
Yeah.
We really get to know Harcourt and who she is through that scene with Chris. We really get to see Adrian by going to his home and then going to his other home. The two of them talking together.
Yeah.
Doing the Spider-Man meme and stuff.
Spider-Man meme.
Doing that with Freddy has to be both complicated but a ton of fun.
It was fun because the guy, and I wish I could remember his name offhand, but we talk about him on our on the companion podcast. The guy who played Freddy was great, and he totally had his mannerisms down, and so. For me, it was just like, I just had to really plan out what the shots were. And I did a scene in the next episode with the two of them as well. And I had to have it all work together in the right way. And, do the camera, I start by saying, I want to shoot the scene with these two actors like I would shoot any other scene. I don't want to shoot it like the old, 90s TV way of every shot with two people is frozen so that they can, shoot it twice. And I wanted to be able to move the camera in the way we did with everything else. But I also really like the surprise of it all. And I think that a lot of people online obviously guessed Earth X twist. But everybody seems to think that Adrian Chase is going to go meet like the suave, cool, the suave, cool Adrian Chase. And it's exactly what... It's exactly what he wants. He's been, we just think he's going to be disappointed because he's been crossing his fingers, wants to meet another him, is so excited about it. And then, his narcissism is which he's got issues, right? Yeah. Is such that when he meets himself and he's exactly like himself, it's his favorite thing he's ever done. He's like completely in love with this guy who is personality-wise very, very similar.
But physically doing the same things at the same time. Timing that can't be easy.
Yeah. Well, that you got to give that up to Freddie for shooting stuff twice and getting it right.
Yeah. Oh, that was great. So Spider-Man exists in the DC universe, which means
Yep.
Marvel exists in the DC
That's
universe,
right.
which might mean Guardians of the Galaxy exists in the DC universe, which might mean James Gunn exists in the DC universe.
Yeah.
Is there a James Gunn
Nice.
running around out there?
No, I think Edgar Wright directed Guardians of the Galaxy, and he did a better job than me.
I don't know if that's
He was
possible.
great.
Oh my God.
He was great.
I popped when they pointed and I saw the Spider-Man thing though, and I was like, hold on a second,
I know.
tinfoil hat.
Yeah. I think it's the second time we did it. I think somebody mentioned something else earlier. Oh, or was it the other way around? Did I do it in Marvel? I did it one other time.
I think
and I got
Eternals
a bunch
referenced DC. I think Batman. Didn't Drax make a reference or somebody made a? It would have been Star-Lord, I guess.
No.
What?
It is. It's. I think it's in the Christmas special. We mentioned Batman.
Yes, that's what it was.
That's what it was. I knew there was some time that I did it.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna.
So now I've created DC within the Marvel universe.
Yeah.
And I've created Marvel within the DC universe. Pretty cool.
James, I'm gonna read you a line of dialogue here from episode 6. A bear-sized man with dragon skin butt fucking a glowing twink in the cell beside me.
Yeah.
What's going on in Belle Reve?
Well, it's just like any other maximum security prison. There's full of metahumans, and then there's these guys, and they're having sex next to, maybe they're making love, I don't know, but they're having sex right next to Lex Luthor, and Lex Luthor, not a fan of metahumans. I don't know if you know this.
No, I don't think he
doesn't love them, and he wants to get moved out of there. So he makes a deal, and he gets moved to do we say in this episode? I can never. Yeah,
They seem to be on good terms. They're making plans. How did the Peacemaker idea involving Lex come to be? Because you wrote Peacemaker after Superman, right? Or was it really written at the same time?
I wrote Superman and then Peacemaker. Yeah,
and it was just like you had this in mind all along.
Yeah, well, I know where the season's going, and so this needed to happen.
Okay.
I mean, I know where the DCU's going, and so this needed to happen.
So obviously we'll see Lex again in Peacemaker.
No, I didn't say that.
Oh, so why not? Okay.
No.
I thought for sure that those two were going to be going after, working together, and Lex would be involved. Okay.
Well, you'll see.
Yeah.
Like where they go is very dependent on this, but it's but it's not about, yeah, you'll see.
Okay. Hey, I'll wait 7 days
and beyond, and
All
of
right.
course, into Man of Tomorrow.
If you kill Eagly, people are going to lose their minds.
Well, then they'll lose their minds.
Which brings me to my next fan question.
Yeah.
Here, you can just
Oh, who's this now?
wait. There you go.
Hi guys. I wanted to ask James, who influenced you in your life to be so compassionate to animals? Who taught you to love them and care for them? And I am very grateful that you show that in all of your projects, because we're teaching people to have empathy and to not overlook them and to care for them and to love them. So I'm grateful for that. But I'm curious who in your life was like that you grew up either seeing that, or who marked you in your life for you to become that person, because we need more of that in the world. Okay. Thank you.
Look at that. She knows I love squirrels. My grandmother was a big animal lover, and so she definitely was a part of that. But I will actually say it's the fact that I was, I don't know where it comes from, but I was raised with a dog. I was a baby. I didn't have any other siblings yet. I'm the oldest of 6 kids. And my dog, Shawnee, was raised beside me, and we slept together and lived together. And it was like having a sister who was a dog. And so I imprinted upon animals. I spent more time with my dog than I did with my parents. And I imprinted upon animals at an early age, and just felt, especially dogs, but all animals, felt at home with them.
And animals just love us no matter what, too.
Yeah.
Dogs especially.
And I love them back.
Yeah.
I'm the same way with them.
Yeah.
They're with me.
I actually looked at this, and there's a question I forgot to ask you earlier when we were talking about Harcourt. Dude, Jen told me all about how she got in such great shape as part of the story for Harcourt. I'm curious if can she become just Peacewrecker outright?
Yeah.
Can you she's doing the action stuff.
Yeah.
She's like incredibly with emotion. Like, I mean, I looked at a comic cover and I saw Peacemaker and Peacewrecker standing next to each other, and I was like, can we go there?
I think you would have a very hard time ever getting Emilia to wear a costume.
That's referenced earlier in the season, which is what put the seed in my head. It was that moment where she's talking to Chris when I forget exactly what he said. Something about her suiting up too, and she's like, well, that'd be fucking stupid.
Yeah.
And I was like, did they just tease? Maybe she does. But it would just take like a complete change of mind.
She would have to be a different person.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that, one of the things I want, in DC, it's like, if people put on a costume, they have to have a reason for it. Like Superman has it, David has a reason for it, some characters have a reason for it. And then some characters are kind of crazy. And like, everybody knows who Judo Master is. Why is he wearing a super?
Yeah.
They all know his name.
Yeah.
He's still wearing it, So it's like, I think that he's a little bit crazy. We're going to see a lot more of him.
Of Judo Master?
Oh, yeah.
I was curious if he was going to end up being like a team up with Chris, like an unlikely team up, because I don't think Chris wants to hate him. He's just annoying. So in this universe, Judo Master's probably going to need help because he's not a white guy. So I was like, maybe Chris helps him.
Definitely got himself into a bad position.
Yeah. Oh man, dude, there's so much. I have theories, man. I've got theories. Okay, wait. I've got a theory for you. I know you watch Jenna's YouTube videos. Jenna is the one who planted this theory in my head.
Okay, great.
You mentioned on the Peacemaker podcast that the origin story of Peacemaker's helmets, since we found out it wasn't his dad who made them. Through all this mental math and comics history and stuff.
Wait a second. Is that exactly what we found out, that his dad didn't make them?
He said,
his dad isn't capable of making them.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I'm sorry. It's a small distinction.
Hey, it could be,
but I've got to make it.
It sounds like it's important.
For reasons.
His dad isn't capable of it. Well, the theory was that Ted Cord,
mm-hmm.
who would be a guy who could make them and has made, tech for bad guys accidentally in the past, another Charlton character who you keep saying on Twitter or on Threads, you might be in luck when people ask you about it. As a phrase I've seen you use more than once. That Ted Cord.
Wait. I said that about Blue Beetle.
Blue Beetle, I know. But I think somebody said
I wasn't really referring to Peacemaker though, but I was referring. I mean,
Yeah,
but I guess I like Blue Beetle and I like him as Blue Beetle. So, but yeah, I like Ted Cord too.
Is there any substance to that theory? That Ted Cord's involved? No.
I'm sorry, John.
Okay.
I know.
Well, that leads us to our last fan question. Here we go. There you go. You just press play on that one.
Hey, there we go. Oh, no, wait.
Hey, James, it's Jenna. I could easily think of 100 different questions to ask you, but the first one that comes to my mind is, with this season in particular, how do you decide when to have a side character be somebody that originated from the comics versus creating somebody entirely new?
That's a really good
And
question.
yes, I'm asking in part because of the Mr. Grant reference in episode 3. Thanks, and I miss you both.
I give her shit about that because I'm like, I can't believe, because I watched her episode right after episode 3, and I'm like, I can't. She finds these things like, okay, one of the characters is named Zora. Right?
Well, yeah. Well, I looked at she was the naked woman, and I was like, wait a second, that's too specific of a name to have just been an accident.
It's just an accident.
Okay.
I just named her Zora. Like, it just seemed like a name that some hippie.
Where do you get that name from?
Some hippie parents seem like they would name their kid Zora, and then she's all into free love.
Yeah.
So it's like it just seemed like something. It seemed like it would be her name, and so then she finds out, and I'm like, you don't get Mr. Grant, and I'm like Jenna, you don't get Mr. Grant. I mean, Ted Grant, he's a major character, also one of my favorites, by the way.
Yeah.
So, but what was her question? Her question was, I mean, I think it really comes down to, is there a good character that you can, compare him to? So I don't know. Sometimes it's kind of random, I guess. I mean, obviously, like Agee, right? Agee was never in the comics. Now you see some comics with him.
Prime Eagle.
But he's the Prime Eagle. It's important. Him being the Prime Eagle is important, by the way.
I don't think you did that for no reason.
Some people think that's just like some jokey thing. No. He's the Prime Eagle, man. He's fucking important. That's important. He's got an important role. Anyway, I didn't have an Eagle. I needed that character, so I added Agee. Emilia Harcourt is different because Emilia Harcourt was, named after the character that Rob and Jim created. Just is sort of an Easter egg because she was a minor character that had a couple lines in the movie. And so I just named her that I didn't mean for her to become the character that she became at the time.
Yeah.
Which is so different from that character. I mean, Emilia Harcourt in the comics was originally like a Russian agent who was a bad guy and betrayed Waller. And so I thought it would be fun to plant that, and then maybe in a future Suicide Squad movie have her be, I didn't know. I didn't really think about it, and so that was just, I named her after that, whereas like Flo Crawley or John Economos, those characters are named after pretty important characters in the comics.
Yeah.
But then you get to the Langston Flurries, and like I could have figured out somebody else to name him after, but I don't know. It just seemed like he was such a specific character in my mind that I didn't know who he would be.
And bird blindness is everything now.
Bird blindness,
Is
yeah.
everything. All right, I just got some questions. We got to wrap this up here soon, but I want to make a confession. The first time I watched Superman, I went to the bathroom after Lex killed Malik. And I was like, there has to be a quick lull. I had to go to the bathroom so bad I ran. And I came back and everybody was clapping because the Mr. Terrific scene just happened.
No! Oh, no.
And I was like, what did I just miss?
No, that's the worst feeling.
So everybody told me it was this incredible Mr. Terrific scene.
Oh, no.
So then the second time I saw it was at the premiere. And I was like, wow, that was amazing. Gary told me he saw me walking out. I was like, no, don't leave, don't leave.
Oh.
And I sprinted back just in time to realize I missed like probably the best moment of the movie.
Oh, no.
Oh, my God. But Mr. Terrific has had the best response.
He did.
He's a fan favorite.
Yeah.
Does a response like that generate like new ideas for a character?
Definitely. And I mean, well, first of all, I've got major plans for Mr. Terrific.
Hell yeah.
Okay. So that's important, but yeah, definitely it influences things. I don't, you're going around the planet, you're drilling for oil. And every once in a while you get a geyser, and Mr. Terrific is a geyser. He's very popular. We just got a bunch of information back. I don't remember, but on what people liked of Superman, like looking back, really, they love Guy Gardner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
so it's like these, when I see that sort of stuff, it makes a difference to me. However, not all the difference in the world. I loved the character of Nebula in Guardians 1.
Mm-hmm.
I loved where I thought she could go, what could change. When I first brought Karen in, I showed her the artwork. I said, she's going to be a Guardian of the Galaxy. And she's like, what? Because she's just this evil little person in the first movie. But she was not, that first movie, no, she did not register. She was not a fan favorite.
She was like the stepsister nobody wanted to, yeah.
And no, it just didn't register. But I knew what that character could become. I knew what Karen could do with that character. And so, she became a major character in Guardians 2. And then she was like the favorite character in Guardians 3. Mm-hmm. So it's like, so there's a balance. I mean, I listen to the fans. I listen to what's working, what's surprising, what's not. I'm not surprised by Crypto. Crypto's people's favorite character in Superman.
You knew that.
I knew that from the moment I wrote, page 1 with Crypto jumping on him. I knew that he was going to be a favorite character. Yeah. That's not a surprise to me. So I listened to all of that. I listened to the noise, but also I know, the characters that can be something more than what they are now. And where
I need a Mr.
Go.
Terrific Hot Toys figure too. I
should do that.
That's day one purchase for me.
Hot Toys.
Yeah, big Hot Toys guy. I know everybody probably asks you about Batman casting, but my question is not about casting. I'm curious, we know the Reeves stuff with Batman is going to be separate from what you do in the DC universe with Batman. Do you think do you ever think about our audience is going to follow that? Like there are two separate Batman stories going on? Because I remember with the X-Men and then the Avengers, sometimes people be like, wait, they can't cross over because Fox and Disney. There were people who didn't know that.
Yeah, but people, was it causing anybody grief in any way?
No, I don't think so.
I think it was the same thing.
It's a good point.
I think that people are really starting to learn about stuff like that. Will it ever cause, one of the weirdest things for me is that big fans are often like, well, listen, I understand this, but normies will never understand this. Casuals will never understand this. But the truth is, guys, that you're the ones that don't understand. The casuals always understand. You can say, oh yeah, he's changed Peacemaker. They were, there was some Justice Gang or Justice League was in that. Now it's the Justice Gang, and regular people who just like TV shows are like, oh, okay, that's weird. And then they're done. But the people who, really focus on this stuff
We
and
live
go
in a
crazy
bubble. Yeah,
we're
we
in
live in a
they're
bubble.
in our bubble.
Yeah.
And the people in our bubble think that everyone outside of that bubble is too stupid to understand nuance. And it is just totally not the case.
Yeah, well, I call it the Uber driver test. Like, if a random person shows up to your door, will they understand it? And I'm like, well, maybe, but I guess it really doesn't matter that much. Yeah. Also, I want to thank you for getting Peacemaker in Fortnite.
Oh, well,
I'm very-
that's Fortnite, thank you to those guys.
Clayface photos are just popping up left and right.
Are they?
Yeah. Does that make you sweat a little bit?
No.
Do you know, like, it is what it is?
Yeah.
You just know you're filming outside. It's okay.
Yeah. In fact, they we knew we were shooting outside. We knew there would be some photos that would get out, and we knew there was some makeup and stuff involved. And they're like, "Oh, should we, they're like, "Okay, should we not put any of the makeup on and then just do it with visual effects and post?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about? I mean, is it going to make $1 less at the box office?" First of all, if some photos leak, and then secondly, like, you want to spend, hundreds of thousands of dollars on VFX when it's going to look better if it's practical, because there's a lot of amazing practical effects in Clayface. So much. Oh my God. There's some days I'm watching dailies and James Watkins is doing an amazing job. And some days, and I'm going, oh my God. Oh my God, it's just this old school body horror visual effects, and it's so cool.
Dude, that's gonna be sick.
And I can't wait for people to see that movie. And it sets the tone for me so much for DC, in that we're able to do something that's completely, this is not,
Yeah.
we're not having, there's no formulas here. If a James Gunn makes a James Gunn movie, it's a James Gunn movie. Craig Gillespie makes a Supergirl movie, it's a Craig Gillespie movie. James, makes a Clayface movie, it's his movie.
Well, that was kind of one of the last things I was going to ask you was, like, everything to this point has been very much your hands on, because you've written, directed,
Yeah.
at least directed episodes of Peacemaker. Next year is when we get into the projects that I know you're obviously involved in,
Yeah,
but maybe not as involved with from
definitely
top
not.
to bottom.
Yeah.
I've heard you talk on the Peacemaker podcast about how, like, when other people directed episodes of Peacemaker, you sent so many notes. You were so involved as you probably could be, it sounded like. How is that going with these, like, what we're going to see next year?
It's different because with Supergirl, for instance, I'm very committed to Ana Naguera, who wrote the script, and I'm protecting her. And with Clayface, I'm Mike Flanagan's a really good friend, so I really want to support the writers. But with my stuff, it's like I'm different when it's my writing, and I'm different when it's Peacemaker, because I know everything, and I just wish that I could direct everything.
That makes sense.
And so I'm really specific.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, is it hard? It's hard. It's hard.
I don't know how you do it.
I'm really specific, and I re-edit. I mean, I edit all the episodes, so it's not like I'm not taking that final pass of things.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Okay, last question for you. I asked Jen the same question. I don't know how you have time for anything outside of all this work you're doing as the co-CEO of DC Studios. What is your favorite thing to do outside of work when you have time lately? What does James Gunn do when he's able to turn
Well,
the DC Universe brain off for a minute?
Jen and I just celebrated our anniversary
Happy
yesterday.
anniversary. 4 years, right?
3
Or
years.
three? Oh, okay.
I think. 3 years.
so.
I mean, but we've been together for over 10.
Yeah.
We went to Aspen, Colorado, which is a place I love, and we went go hiking in the mountains, and we have really nice dinners. I love having nice dinners, and so really quiet stuff. I like. We watch some TV. We hang out. Last night I got back in town. I hang out with Stevie Blackheart, who plays Sidney Happerson. Who people I think know is coming out in the show.
Yeah, I think that there was some
there's some
footage
there's
in the
some
trailer.
footage,
Yeah.
so he's coming out, and then and my friend George, and we went out to a nice dinner and
Hey,
smoked cigars.
so just friends and family. That's how you do it. There you go.
Yeah, it really, if you really ask me what I like getting my group of friends together that I've had for 20 something years, and we just sit around in a circle and talk. So Lon and Molly, Stevie, George, Dave Yarovesky, the director. It's just like that's the real tight group of friends, and we just hang out and talk for hours.
Yeah, that sounds like that's what keeps you sane with all this work too.
It is.
Yeah, dude, you deserve it. Good for you, man. Dude, James, a little over a year ago, I left abruptly a website that I worked for 10 years, and
I
I
know you
wasn't
did.
sure what was going to happen.
Yeah.
And the fact that I'm here today with you doing this, I just want to say thank you.
You're welcome.
You know, you've always been super supportive. It's pretty surreal that I was able to launch a podcast with my friends and come and do this with you. And, you know, I love your work. And
Well, I'm here because you're a good guy. You know, I want to come and support what you're doing with your life. You've been doing so much cool stuff. I love watching the podcast here. I hope everybody keeps watching it. And you've been doing, you know, great stuff. And you've always been a big supporter, and I appreciate it. And so you got it.
I was in college when Guardians was coming out, and they did a preview in Charleston. I drove 2.5 hours just to watch 15 minutes.
I remember.
Yeah, man, here we
that.
are, dude. Well, James,
Oh my God.
thank you so much for coming on today. I cannot wait to watch 7 and 8
Yeah.
and everything beyond that, man. It's awesome. And everybody watching, thank you so much for watching. Post a screenshot of your Instagram story. We'll share it for you. 5-star reviews, all that good stuff. Play our show for your dad, play for your cat. We'll see you in the next one, everybody.
Peace out.